Iowa gubernatorial candidate Deidre DeJear joins us now. And to give you an idea of who she is, and hear her 1-minute campaign ad.
After several weeks of doing my homework with a group of incredible community leaders throughout the state, I am signing up to do more work. I am announcing that it would be an incredible honor and give me great pleasure to be Iowa's next governor. I am of the belief that if anyone expects to lead this state, the priority must be put on Iowans. During this time a year ago, our communities were devastated. Thousands were vulnerable without power, access to food, water. Our neighbors came out to help while it took our leadership days to tap in. Leadership has to lead with the people's interest first. And I know it has been really, really challenging in spite of everything going on to see the good, to have hope. But if there is anything that I can say to each and every one of you all today, is that I believe in you. Iowa has built small businesses. It has built national education models. Iowa has built a thriving agricultural system. Iowa has built fields of opportunity. And we're not done building. We've got work to do because Iowa is worth it. I need you all to sign up. Go to DeJearforIowa.com. Tell your friends, tell your family that we've got work to do. And we're going to get it done.
Deidre, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered. So good to have you here today. How are you?
It is so good to be on this show. Sad I couldn't be with Roland, but really excited that I'm here with you, Reese.
Thank you. Yes, I'm holding it down for Roland while he's in Liberia, and I'm happy to have you on. You know how I feel about Black women running, #win with Black women. But girl, you are in Iowa. A Black woman running in Iowa is not something that people hear all the time. So tell us more about you and what it would mean for Iowa to have a Black woman governor.
Awesome. So I'm a small business owner, and I started my small business while I was in undergrad at Drake University. And what's great about this state and what I keep with me often is that in spite of all of the challenging circumstances that I was dealing with as a young college student, there was opportunity and provisions that were made available to me in this state. Not only was I able to start a small business in undergrad, but I started a nonprofit to help other students who were interested in going to college get engaged, and for those students who were in K through 12 to be prepared with school supplies when they went into school. And so when I think about what this state has been able to do for me and the pathways of opportunity it's created, and I think about where we are right now as a state. You know, we were once #1 in education. Now we're 18, 19 on the list. Our governor is 44th in the nation. We're not paying our teachers what they deserve. And while the rest of the country is dealing with a worker shortage and a skills gap, you know, Iowa's not living up to its potential. And a great deal of that not only is part of, you know, us experiencing this pandemic, but the greatest point of that is having failed leadership in this state. And so I'm running, as you heard in the video, because I believe in Iowa and I believe in what we're capable of. But that belief is not just predicated on a hope and a dream. That belief comes from where Iowa has been. A lot of folks don't know this. Talk about Black History Month. A man by the name of Alexander Clark, 100 years, nearly 100 years before Brown versus Board of Education, led this state to ensure that each and every student had access to an education, despite their race, despite their gender. That happened in Iowa. This is also a state where a woman like me can become the first African American to ever be nominated for a statewide office. And lastly, what everybody knows is this is a state that sent a signal to the rest of the country back in 2008 that Barack Obama should be our president. And that happened in a state that's majority white. And so I believe in this state because I believe in what we've been able to accomplish in the past. And that only speaks to a brighter future in the future, given we have different leadership.
Absolutely. Now, to be clear, you are running for the Democratic nomination and your primary is uncontested, right? So You are the only candidate for the Democratic nomination at this point, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Correct.
So let's say that continues to be the case and you are the actual nominee come the general election. What makes Iowa competitive for the folks who are interested in supporting, but they might think a Republican governor? How is this going to work out?
You know, what's unique about Iowa is that we've traditionally been purple. And over the last several years, we have erred on the side of leaning right. But what has happened over the years in this state is that Iowans have the ability to see the humanity that exists in folks. They have the ability to feed into authenticity. And what's authentic about Black women leading, what's authentic about me leading is the fact that it's never really been about campaign promises for me. It's always been about outcomes. And right now, Iowans, as vulnerable as we are related to education, mental health, our healthcare system in general, whether we're in rural Iowa or urban Iowa, we're seeing shared struggles across this state. And so what it would mean for me being office is one, that I'm willing to put people first and that I'm going to put people first because I believe that that's the only way we lead. That's the only way we grow. If 2020 taught us anything, it's that we're stronger together. Our cities, our communities were literally stripped to the bare bone. And it was our job to pull the pieces together. When we did that collectively all over the country, Iowa was not immune. Needless to say, unfortunately, what we've had to deal with over the last 2 years during this pandemic is a leader in Kim Reynolds who has politicized COVID, who's politicized our education system and has drawn a wedge between Iowans all over the state. And it has served no justice and it has given us no value. And so I'm ready to see real change happen in our communities and throughout the state amongst communities of color, amongst our students, amongst our women, amongst our working class folks. There's so much work to be done. We just need leadership who's willing to put in the work and willing to put people first.
Absolutely. Speaking of communities, talk a little bit about the coalition you have put together that you think will power you to the win and how you've been received throughout the state throughout your campaign.
So I had the fortunate opportunity when I was an undergrad to volunteer for then Senator Barack Obama's campaign back in 2007. That is where I started building coalitions. I then went on to work for him in 2012 in his reelect in the state as an African American vote director. And I went on to work on school board races and city council races. I've done nonpartisan engagement work. I've done partisan engagement work, and all of this has been an effort to increase people's access to the ballot box and uplift people's voices during this political process. Iowa, in our state constitution, says that all political power is inherent in the people. And I am reminding people of that every single day. The coalitions that we're building go beyond my own racial identity. We've obviously got coalitions of Black folks all over the state. Not only do we have Black folks engaged, we're engaging our Latinx population, our AAPI, LGBTQ, our folks with disabilities, and our students and rural Iowans. These are constituencies that have traditionally been hard to reach populations. Some in the Democratic space might call them less reliable voters. Well, from my vantage point, they are reliable because they're Americans and they're Iowans, and we need to ensure that they have true access to the ballot box, especially in light of the fact that this state, after a record year in 2018, experienced even more voter restriction laws that was signed by this current governor that disproportionately impact Blacks, that disproportionately impact other communities of color, and vastly disproportionately impacts 65 plus in this state. And so we've got a lot of work to do. And that coalition building is what was able to get me through my Secretary of State's primary. That coalition building is what was also able to ensure that all of the other campaigns that I was a part of, we got wins. Because it's, from my vantage point, it's incredibly important that when we talk about democracy, when we talk about getting people engaged in the process, that means all people. And we don't wait till the last minute. We start at the beginning. The populations that are critical to engage in our communities, the hardest to engage, we start with those first. And then we work our way backwards, because that is how we truly get people to the ballot box, by meeting them where they are and not taking their voice for granted.
Absolutely. I think you have to compete for every vote, and meeting folks where they are is really important. with social media, a lot of times different candidates or even sometimes the party expects people to come to them and go to their website. But I love that you are getting out there and meeting folks. Let's go to the panel. Teresa, do you have a question for Deidre?
I think it is phenomenal that African American women like yourself are going for not, not the mid-level position, but a really high position where change can really happen in your state. So my question is, have you received the support? Obviously, I think you said you received the Democratic support. So what can people do, to support your campaign so you can make it through the general election?
This takes a village, and I'm a Democrat, and we know over the last 2 to 4 years that Democrats have not been getting all the wins that we wanted throughout this country. And that's also happened in Iowa. But that's no reason to count us out, especially when people are willing to do the work. And so I'm letting folks know that there are Iowans out here that are willing to do the work, that are willing to invest time and energy into getting people to the ballot box this go round. But if you're not in Iowa, you can also contribute to our race. Every dollar counts. I mean, I'm running against an individual who has been an elected official for nearly 30 years. They were an elected official when Iowa was at its peak. And now under her watch, it's falling short. And so folks can give to help me be competitive in this race. We've got to get on TV. We've got to connect to folks via social media and other advertisements, because this is a race that, one, has to reinvigorate hope that we can change, given what societies it has experienced over the last 2 years. But it's also a campaign that is not only going to reinvigorate hope, but it's going to deliver. As I said earlier, for me and so many Black women across this country, it's not really been about promises. Our success has been predicated on what we've been able to deliver, outcomes. And so when we walk through this campaign process, we're not selling people dreams. We're selling people reality, because it's the fundamentals that have to be restored in this state. I mean, we've got teachers who are leaving the job, going to other states. We've got superintendents who are teaching in classrooms and schools that are closing because they don't have enough individuals to do the work. That is fundamental to our democracy. Education, access to a free, affordable, and accessible education that's of quality is incredibly important. And our state's failing on that. In fact, our state is suggesting that we should put cameras in the classroom. Our state's creating a banned book list. Our state is also going down the road of talking about things that aren't even taught in our schools, rather than focusing on what should be taught in our schools. And so we've got a lot of work to do, but we're not that far gone. We just need help, and folks can contribute to put in that work to help us.
Okay, I'm going to go to Mustafa. We got to keep it quick, but before I do that, I just want to ask the website, because you said people could give, but I didn't hear a website. So give folks the website, and then I'll go to Mustafa for a question.
DeJearForIowa.com is our website.
And spell that out for the folks.
DeJear, spell out for Iowa.com.
Okay. Mustafa, your question for Deidre.
There's a lot of fantastic folks in Iowa. It's cold there, but I've seen some of the great folks and spent time there. My question for you is this. When you're elected governor, a number of the dollars that are part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill will be flowing year after year into Iowa and, of course, other places. How will you as governor actually utilize those to make real change happen?
Excellent question, and I'll be brief. I mean, we have one lone state representative, Congresswoman Cindy Axne, that has been advocating a great deal to get resources in this state alongside the Biden administration, and we've gotten over $500 million thus far. And I think what's incredibly important is that this state has a partner that's not only willing to take those resources and put them to work, but unfortunately, we have a governor that sent resources back. Nearly $100 million back to the Biden administration. And so we got to put those resources to work on climate, on infrastructure, on our schools, because Iowa needs those resources in order for us to grow. And I intend on being a true partner there to make sure that we're using those resources equitably and ensuring they're meeting the population's needs.
Thank you, Deidre. You've given us so much to chew on, and I hope that you get more support. The website again is DeJear for Iowa. Say that one more time.
DeJearforIowa.com, DeJear for Iowa.
Okay, thank you. And you have to keep us posted on how your campaign goes on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Absolutely. It was so good to spend time with you, Reese. And thanks to the panel for the questions.
Thank you.
Back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?